Just so you know, you do not have to disconnect the battery to do this job. I've seen it in the comments on some other videos that walk you through it. I didn't. Basically, once the connector is disconnected, there's no more power going to the spark plugs. So the risk, I didn't see it a need to in my case. But if you want to, there's nothing wrong with being safe. It's smarter to be safe anyway. I just want to let you know it's up to you how you want to do it. This is just some information on the ignition coil removal procedure, some info, and in terms of a part number, I couldn't find one for it. However, for the spark plug, the part number will be coming up as soon as this clip is over. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be replacing the ignition coil on my 2004 Saturn Ion. These are the tools you're going to need. I couldn't find my 10mm socket for my 3/8 ratchet, so I had one for my 1/4" ratchet. I'll be using that for disassembly. 1/4" ratchet, extension, 10mm socket, extension, a 5/8 spark plug socket. Does it have the rubber in there? Yes, it does. And a 3/8 ratchet. Spark plugs. These are the NGK laser iridium. I decided to go with the 5581 model instead of I think it's the other one's like XP something. These have been said to last longer. It's not as much performance as the other XP one, but it's a Saturn, so I'm good with that. 4 of those. And then I got the ignition coil. I couldn't find the part number for it, but I got it from Advanced Auto Parts, and that's the part number for the NGK brand. I'm just going to try out NGK. I do recommend OEM all the way, but this is an old car and I like to experiment sometimes, so I'm going to try that. And now we're going to get we gotta get this connector off. I'm going to figure that out first. Well, there's actually a few things in the way. This is ultimately what's going to come out. Spark plugs are underneath. This is your accelerator cable, and I think I could just pop it. Yeah, I can pop it out of the way, but it's also connected here, and I haven't seen how to take it off just yet, but as soon as I know, I'll show you. I am going to remove this bracket and the bolt for it right on the side right there. I'm hoping it's a 10. Let's see. Yeah, it's a 10mm. So first thing you gotta do is get the accelerator cable out of the way. However, I want to show you guys how to disconnect this connector, and I have a small Phillips with me to help, but honestly I can just do it with my fingers. Pull this back, get underneath and on top, and press this black part. That lifts it up and pulls right off. There we go. Now I'm gonna try to get this cable out of the way. Just loosen these bolts, see if I can pull it up, if not at an angle. Okay, loosened all the bolts. So now I already attempted it before this, but it can be done. Pop it out, angle it, get that last one out, and home free. So now we'll move on to the spark plugs. I edited the video, but I got the 5/8 spark plug socket with 3/8 drive, a 3/8 extension, a 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter, a 1/2 inch adapter, and a 1/2 inch ratchet, because the spark plugs were like really freaking tight. I have one more to go, and I'll show you what I mean. I don't know, I won't be able to do this with one hand, so if I could, well, here we go. Actually, I don't want to do this with one hand. It's freaking tight. So that's why I have a bigger tool now, and I recommend you do too. This is what the old ones looked like that were in there, and I'll evaluate them at the end. The part number on this one, it's an AC Delco 126072280. Or I'm sorry, it's the 41-105. I remember seeing that online. As you know, do not touch the electrode with your hands. Just don't get it dirty. And we're gonna put the new ones in now. If you'd like, I would recommend looking down your cylinders just to get an idea of how they look. A borescope would be better. I don't have one, so I'm just gonna use a flashlight. But I can tell, you won't be able to tell, I don't think, in the video. It's an old car. It's got like 164,000 miles, so it definitely got some carbon buildup for sure. But I'd recommend you take the time and just get a look for yourself. Make sure the new spark plugs you have are gapped correctly. Yes, some of them come pre-gapped, but I always just like to check. And I did check with the spark plug gap tool. It's a little silver, looks like a coin, and it's close. If not, it's right on the money, so it's there. Also, the book says do not use dielectric grease, and I don't, so I'm not going to. Again, for torque settings for the spark plug, it's 15 inch-pounds or 20 Newton meters. And then the retaining bolts are for this guy, I believe. Bolts that go in here. And their spec is 10 Newton meters or 89 inch-pounds. Before I put the bracket back in there to hold the cable, we're going to turn on the car and make sure it works. Everything's connected, bolts are tightened, and we'll give it a go. What style of ion? This one, typically when I enter parts or I enter the data of the car, I usually say like a 2003 Saturn ion, even though it's an 04, because they didn't make that other version then, so it's easier to find. What we got, apparently the wiper's going. 164,637 miles. New spark plugs and ignition coil. Here we go. Sweet. Cool. It works. So for the spark plug visual inspection, all the book gives is either normal operation or carbon fouled. And as you can see here, the details for that. Looking at the spark plugs themselves, so this is the passenger side, left side, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is driver's side, the right. The first one was probably the worst. It's kind of dark. It's got that carbon buildup around the ring, except they all do. But in terms of the electrode, from my eyes looking at it right now, it's not too bad. It's got a little white, very, very little. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but it's got the grayish, the brownish tan, and they all have it. So they're not that bad. This one's probably the cleanest. I mean, half of the threads look like they haven't been touched at all, and then half are stained. Got oil, and God, I hope that's not metal shavings, but it looks like it. So I would say it's normal. It's an old car. I already know it leaks oil, so that might explain why that one's clean, at least. But this one's bad. Like, dirty. Just really dirty. But yeah, visual inspection, there's not much to it. And I'm sure you can find more online as to explaining why your spark plug might look like this or that. But that's what these look like. Also, to kind of help get rid of that carbon buildup, I'm going to use the BG208 fuel system cleaner, the 44K. I've used this in the Elantra and it works great. It's probably, in my opinion, the best fuel cleaner there is. I haven't tried a lot of products. Chevron's like my alternative because usually I have to order this. But this does even comparing this to Chevron, this does way better. 100%. I can see it in the gas mileage, and car sounds better. So I'm going to try this with the Saturn. It'll be the first time, but if y'all want to try a fuel cleaner, you might want to try this one. I'm not sponsored by any of the products mentioned in the video either, just to let you know. This is just my personal opinion and what's worked for me.